Welcome to Inspiring Teachers, a show bringing you classroom tips, motivation, and stories from successful educators. Join Tavis Bean and Danny Hauger as they explore the why of teaching.
Hey everyone, welcome to Inspiring Teachers. I'm Danny Hauger. It's nearing the end of March 2021, double vaccinated, and the world is moving in many different directions, as it always is, no matter when you're teaching. Today's episode is brought to you by AmpedUpLearning.com. You can use promo code HaugerHistory10 to save 10% off your order and find many great resources for teaching in the classroom or online. It's a wonderful resource that I hope everybody will go check out. That's AmpedUpLearning.com. Use the promo code HaugerHistory10. They have all kinds of resources to get your students out of the sit and get rut of teaching, or to introduce new kinds of projects-based learning, or study guides to help all sorts of subject matter. So check out AmpedUpLearning.com, and their social media giveaways are always just amazing too. They're giving away a lot. And it's owned by teachers, so you're supporting teachers in a 360 degree. And that's where we all should be, right? Supporting teachers in a 360. That's really, really important right now, I feel like. You know, there's only a quarter of the school year that's left. And so I'm sitting with some of my thoughts that I really feel like I've done my best teaching in the last 12 months. My best teaching during distance learning. I didn't want class to be inferior at home, so I did my best to make things interesting and dynamic, to use the resources of full technology that I have in front of me to my advantage, and I think I did a pretty good job. And that's because my students did a pretty good job. They trusted me. They joined me. Attendance was good. Participation was fantastic. And I really, really liked that. So I'm sitting in my home studio. To my feet are, I got a new guitar pedal board. Never had an old one. And I hooked up a looper pedal and was just kind of playing like a chord progression. And then every 16 bars or 32 bars, I would add in a different line through a looping pedal and stomp it. And then you'd hear the next layer and the next layer. And there's two thoughts I have. One, that's like teaching, because we're always adding new layers to reach students in new ways and do something additional to make our lessons engaging. Two, that felt so good to just let my mind wander for a little bit. You can't spin your wheels constantly in the same direction without wearing out your tire tread. Find a hobby that gets you thinking away from school so that you are refreshed when you go back to thinking about school, and bring a metaphor like the one I just created on the fly to your students to convey whatever it is that you're trying to teach. I think that's what's made me better the last few years than my first few years. We're trained to teach out of a textbook or a series of them with people who have been in a classroom for years, but who maybe have forgotten what it's like to tell someone who hasn't, or talk to someone who hasn't. I think my first year was all about being vocal and loud and fun. And then you eventually learn, class rules, class structures need to be a piece of it, and you work it in. Then once you do that, you realize, now that the structure's here, we can have fun in a different way. And each one is a layer, each new beat, each new set of bars. Like in musically, I'm always trying to make something interesting that I haven't done before. But you really know you're in the right place. You're in the zone. What does soul say? Like you're just in your fluidity. When you're stopped thinking so much, and then you're just listening to what's working, what's sounding good, and what you can flow to next that might fit well. I did not know I was recording that song for 22 minutes. And you can listen to that on Danny Hauger podcasts and check it out. But you just totally lose track of time when you're really in that zone. If you don't have a hobby like that does that for you, try some new things. Watch some YouTube videos of things you've always been interested in but have never tried. You know, with Amazon, you can get something delivered to your door that might be a great hour of your week, or 2 hours, or 10 hours. But it lifts you and it elevates you, because that feels so good. It's just a Saturday. It's heating up outside. Had a nice lunch with my family. Daughter's napping. And some weekends just get by us so quickly, don't they? They just escape, and then it's Monday again. And I look forward to Mondays, and I want to look forward to Mondays. And the mood I'm in right now is something that's hard to find sometimes. It's just a calmness. and it feels like I've had a really full day, like I've had a weekend's enjoyment. If you're like me, sometimes as teachers, we're rushing to do so much. I need this lesson, but I need to make this copy, I need to make this document, I need to make this form so that I can go and plan this part of the lesson, but that'll need to be backtracked. But when you get there, aren't you kind of always thinking about the next step instead of the step that you're in? I know I am. But what I just did, having some music time, having some, like, really to get in touch with just listening and feel and sound, it just feels very centering. And that's really going to help me, because later tonight I'll turn on my laptop and open up my plans, and then I'll have a calm mind as I go to think about what students would like to do and refocus kind of to their needs. There's only 8, 9, 10, I don't know how many weeks left. I tend to look It's funny, I don't look that far in the future by days, but by hours. I'm always thinking about what's next. What do you need to do to feel calm? Write that down in the comment section, or add us on Twitter at Show Teachers. Even the 120 episodes we've done of this show, which are all fantastic, you can go back and listen to them and watch them on YouTube. They're all so rushed and fast. And every once in a while, let's take a day to just strum your guitar. And my friend Haley Sargent, has been posting these really cool pictures of her making crafts and pottery, clay making, sculpting. It's like, wow, I have no skill in that field, but I think that's cool. When's the last time you asserted that to your students, that, like, maybe if they're lacking in an area and they feel disconnected, talk to them about something they're really good at and that sparks them, that makes them passionate or calm or focused, and call out how impressive it is that they have those skills. Boost those kids up, make them feel good. And if you can do that, they'll work on the things they need to. That's how I found it personally as a teacher and as an individual too. So it's just nice to, when you have that moment, then to reflect and think and be grateful for what you have. So just wanted to share that with all the teachers out there today. We're grateful for you. There's a lot of people that have a lot of opinions about what we do. And just, if you're using the best you can to make the students the best they can, and you're working in the material that needs to be conveyed and the time you have to convey it, you're doing great. So give yourself the time to be calm and relaxed and be yourself. All right? I hope that's helpful to you. As far as tips and tools for this week's episode, I'll be in a hybrid learning environment for the last quarter of school, and I haven't shown any films to this point, which is something I like to do with my middle school and high school students. But I didn't want to show a movie over Zoom because the connection quality is pretty poor for most. So I thought I needed a synchronous and an asynchronous tool to help enhance the educational quality of this film. So I'm thinking about showing the films Moneyball for economics and Midway for world history, both of which had large budgets and had lots of consultants to connect them to mostly a reality in their fictional storytellings of real-life events. So I brought in some elements of the keeping questions with students to get them focused on the target response that we're trying to get, and also the open-ended questions to be thought-provoking while we watch these film displays. So we figured the students who are in the room will get that portion, and we'll get some questions to focus on and some responses about the film while they watch it in person. And then for the students who are at home, asynchronously on days when they are home and students are in the classroom watching, they're doing a task like a web quest related to the standards in which I'm hoping to cover from these films. And so they're going to research in economics, like how much, and both of these resources are on TPT and AmpedUpLearning.com. Promo code Hauger History 10. So they're doing research about how much the film cost, how much money was involved, what does their favorite team make in a year, how much does it cost to operate, what's the profit. They're doing a bunch of fact-finding and then thinking in the context of the film to the entire economy, which is cool. Then they'll get to watch it next class. Did the same thing with Midway. So they're going to a museum while they're at home with a web quest, learning, reading, seeing primary source materials. And it's like the other side of the coin to like why we're doing the film. It reminds them that there's education happening while we're getting entertained. And then for the kids in the room, it gives them the film, obviously. But it's like a deeper way to enhance the movie. And if you're all in person, you can do both of those things one after the other, like sequentially. And just that, I wouldn't have had that thinking if I hadn't gone in for a couple of days and seen what it was going to be like. So it's one of those times where planning too far ahead might burn you, because you just might see things are changing in a way that you weren't expecting. So that's my tips and tools for the week, is to use video enhanced with a further search for that information that you're getting across. The explanation of the why of using that media is something students are taking on and engaging with in a second direction. That's my tip for the week. There's just a sigh. And I hope these videos and these podcasts, thank you Podbean for the bandwidth for this, are helpful in the future. Please share them with an educator who you care about. And until next week, everybody, class is dismissed. Check out Danny Hauger music on YouTube. Keep that dream alive too, and keep your dream alive. Have a great week. Take it easy, everybody.